We're live.
Oh, are we?
Welcome,
Hey!
Earthlings, non-Earthlings, ridiculous ones, and soon-to-be ridiculous ones. We are right on time for the ridiculous hour. It is 12:02. We are filming this on March 22nd, 2015. We always record our shows 2 months in the future.
Indeed.
Indeed, we do. And our special Anna CQ is our musical director of the show, by the way. For those that a lot of you may have heard her but haven't seen her, we're going live, y'all. So we're not going to play music on this live show, but we're going to play music in the afterwards.
Yes.
And we happen to have a guest today. We happen to have.
Ridiculous
I need
ones,
to mute something.
ridiculous
Excuse me
ones.
quickly.
That's that time
So
zone stuff getting messed up.
it's that time zone stuff. We actually have a guest today. Anna, are you familiar with our guest?
Oh. Yes, I am familiar with our guest. It's Teal Swan.
It's Teal Swan. Hey, Teal, how are you?
Hey.
I'm doing good. How about you?
We're doing awesome. We've been anticipating having fun with you today for a while.
We're getting high from essential oils.
That's right. We know you know Cajun Rose. She's here as well.
I'm still in pajamas.
Oh, Cajun's in pajamas. So Teal, as always, we're gonna dive right in. Is there anything? So I just randomly picked 2015 user guide. Is there anything that you wanted to share with us about the new energies coming in? You know, one of the things I wanted to ask you about was like numerology-wise. Last year was introspection. Year of the 7 was like looking inside, and this year is 8, collaboration, communication, teamwork. Does it really work that way? I mean, is the numerology really line up for an entire year? That's going to be our focus?
Yes. Yeah, it's sort of like a, what would you consider it? It's like a subtitle, and underneath that is all stuff that is related to it, but different aspects of that particular subtitle. So yes, numerology absolutely does line up for an entire year, and you'll see these major themes based on what year you're in. Ironically, the major theme that I'm saying for this year is stability.
Yes.
We could use a little bit of that.
I sense that, I think. That's a reoccurring theme for sure for me.
Oh, yeah. The beginning of this year is going to be rocky as hell up until about April. That's instability. But I mean,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Anytime you have a theme like stability, you're going to experience the contrast that gives rise to stability. So what we're watching through April is this extreme instability on basically every level of our lives. And then that will give rise to the desire for stability, and we'll begin to line up with that for the second half of the year, which I'm personally very excited for.
Yeah.
I feel personally that, you know, a few of my friends get kind of freaked out about Mercury retrograde, and a lot of them get really excited about it because it's completion. And like I scheduled this interview with a brand new technology I've never played with before, and I kind of freaked out a little bit about it, but we got it. We're here, and I'm pretty sure people can hear us. What is it that, you know, being Mercury retrograde started yesterday, what is it that people can focus on during a retrograde? Or is it better to forget to ignore it and tell yourself it's not going to affect you?
I'm never one for going into a state of denial, but I'm kind of more in line with the idea that if you've got a tendency or a trend or an influence happening, you work with it instead of against it. And retrogrades, me being the shadow queen, that's pretty much the best time you can ever do shadow work. So, like, if you think about it, when the Earth or the whatever planet it is that's in retrograde, when it starts going backwards like that, even though it's just a perception of ours from planet Earth, there's really not planets that go backwards. What it is it's a time for us to do regressions, so to go back and do like retrospective cleanup instead of the time where we're headed straight forward.
So, but the reason I asked the question is, what percentage do you think, I want you to give me an exact number here, Teal, what percentage of the communication breakdowns during Mercury retrograde are because of a belief that there's going to be a bunch of communication breakdowns during the retrograde? You know what I mean?
I'd say 50% at this point.
50 point what?
I don't know, 2.
Okay. So 50.2% of communication breakdowns are because of the belief. Got it. That's straight from Teal.
Well, I mean, think about this. For that to even have come about, there has to have been a trend. So there has to be something which happened which created that wives' tale, so to speak. So is it a wives' tale? And I'm going to tell you, no, it's not. There are actual influences that happen at these times of year that make that a predisposition. But as we know, when it comes to influences, you can allow those things to influence you or not. And if you allow them to influence you, that's okay because it's still progression, it's still expansion.
So is it worth meditating and going to Mercury and chatting with Mercury? And if so, what would that chat look like?
I have never done it, so I have no idea.
I think we should send like a Peace Corps over to Mercury and like get a group meditation and send a group of peace over and say, hey, listen, we got no issue with you, man.
Like, you're cool.
You're cool, Mercury. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Okay, so the retrograde is going to be completion for the first, next 3 or 4 weeks. Is that when things are going to start to get a little easier and the communication and the collaborations are going to start to, because it feels like you can already feel things speeding up.
Yes.
And it's just going to keep speeding up more and more?
Yes.
What can we do to slow things down? Like, I have a rock that has a button on it, and it's like my pause button, but it doesn't really work that well.
The best way to slow something down is to catch up with it.
Ooh, I like that.
Explain.
Well, usually when we're trying to slow something down, it's because it's out in front of us. If we just would catch up with it and be okay with the fact that we're going at warp speed and release resistance to the idea that we're going warp speed, suddenly that would become the new slow.
I like that.
Experience that.
Outrun the speed of light.
It's the speed of
I can go faster than the speed of light.
Me too.
Right at the speed of
I'll
light.
race you.
Anything that is not a particle can go faster than the speed of light.
Ooh.
Anything
Anything that's not a particle. So I wanted to ask you that.
You froze. Oh no.
Because that's how space travel works, right? It's not that I have to get myself. Freeze.
Oh, there
There we
goes.
go.
Of course.
Oh, there you are. Cool. You can hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Tight.
So the question I wanted to ask was, when we when we space travel, it's not us getting our body from this point to that point. It's literally, well, I mean, sometimes it is, but the way the advanced space travelers do it is they think into a new place, correct? Like they change their thought location
Yes.
and then go to a new place.
Yes.
And how do we do that?
Well, you're doing it all day, every day. That's what most people don't understand. We are so physically focused that what we're really concerned about is how do we take our physical body into other time-space realities. When that makes no sense to the rest of the universe because your physical body is a vehicle for the physical dimension. But the mind and the emotional self goes beyond that every day, all day. When you have a memory, you are actually time traveling. Your consciousness is going back to the past. Your physical body is the only thing that's not joining you because it is restricted to the physical dimension. So ironically, the only thing you'd need an actual time travel for or a spaceship for is to transport your physical body.
Nice. So Nassim, I study under Nassim Haramein, and he talks about how if you track the Earth back, right, the Earth is following the sun at 40,000 miles per hour, whatever, and if you track the Earth back, it's a spiral, and that's how you can time travel, is like through that spiral that the Earth took. Is that how you go back when you are going to a memory? Do you like see the time, spiraling backward like that?
No, it works much like a radio frequency, where if the second you tune your dial to something, you're there instantaneously. It's literally just like tune, receive. So whether the mind perceives that travel itself is the real question. Because that's a sensory experience. That's a 3D experience. The experience of going from here to France in terms of travel on an airplane is a physical experience. But if you are going other places back in time, say mentally or emotionally or whatever, you wouldn't necessarily have that sensation because it literally is as quick as you tune your frequency to a vibration and that vibration is received.
and when you say tune your frequency, where's the knob on that?
Your mind.
And so do you literally focus on frequency? Where's the focus when you're doing it?
Wherever you want to go. So like if I told you think about strawberries right now.
Okay.
That's you turning your dial to the frequency of strawberries. Now the more you focus on that thing, the more intense it gets. So you might be able to taste the flavor. You might be able to feel the way, because it's a feeling sensation. The experience of strawberries is a feeling sensation. The minute you get that feeling sensation of strawberries, that's your indication that you've received the channel, because your emotions are the reflection of the vibration.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So let's say I had a bad incident about with strawberries.
Okay.
That thought, how does it differ from a positive thought, or from a normal thought on strawberries? Does that make sense? No. Let's say, do I need to do shadow work on the strawberry incident to change that belief to a positive one, or?
If you would like to have a positive relationship with strawberries in the future, yes. If not, there's really no point.
So, okay, gotcha. So you would have to do shadow work. That's so interesting. You kind of have to go back.
Yes.
That time. So you are time traveling.
The zero set point before, like the positive experience with the strawberry before the negative experience with the strawberry, to where that's what you bring forward.
I don't know if they can hear you from over there, but she's saying, well, yeah, I think they heard her. Okay, so so Anna brought up shadows and or shadow work. I think one of the things. Oh, you're getting excited already?
Oh, it's my subject. This is my favorite thing. Yeah.
Me too, and it's my new favorite thing to look at whoever is pushing my button as my greatest teacher, my greatest gift right now, because they didn't put the button there. You know, I installed the button. And I think I learned this from you. I think a few different people have said it. The button was placed there most of the time before the age of 8. You know, it has nothing to do with the person pushing it. Usually we met them after that age, generally, unless they're family, and then maybe they helped put it in if they were family.
Yes.
Maybe they helped install it a little bit. But my point is, we have buttons, and most of the time when someone pushes it, we weren't aware that that button was about to be pushed. So if we see it as a gift, then we could be like, oh my God, thank you so much for irritating the crap out of me just now.
Yes.
Is that the process you go through when you feel triggered or button pushed? Do you see the gratitude?
Hell no. Ultimately, if we could get to that point, that's the greatest state to get to. But I mean, if you're there, then you should be teaching this stuff. The reality is, even somebody like myself, who's like a master shadow worker, I don't go into gratitude the first thing when somebody pushes my buttons. It hurts too much. First place I go, like most people, is like, what the hell was that? I am super angry, right?
Yeah.
But, so instead of practicing gratitude, which feels forced when it really hurts, I withdraw my attention from whatever trigger it is, which is the person or the event, and I place it instead on the sensation that's occurring within my body. That's the rope that's going to lead you back in time, basically, the causation. Then we alter the causation. And by altering the causation, you alter all of the effects of that causation. It's quite scientific, in fact.
And then if you go back in that process and do your work and heal it and feel better about it and see the source, see the date and time when you installed the button and all that, then can you come back and, I mean, I know you can, but then I would come back and say, okay, now I can feel gratitude for that person.
Yes.
Yeah. So the step is, because I agree, I try to feel gratitude right off the bat. I'm like, it's faked. But I figure, it's better than nothing. And, from my own personal, in my custody battle, the only way I got through it, it was really awful. And the only way I got through it was faked gratitude. And now it's real gratitude. Like, it just became real over time. But it certainly started out fake. Like, I used to say, like, I believe in oneness, except that bitch. And I don't believe, I'm not there anymore. Like, I totally get that she belongs on the planet.
Yeah, I found a faster way than fake it till you make it.
What's that?
Admit to where you are completely and start to improve where you are, and then you really don't have to fake it. It's actually a much quicker process. Authenticity actually gets you to the space of true gratitude faster than faking it until you are in gratitude. Besides, part of you doesn't trust yourself. and doesn't feel taken care of yourself when you try to lie to yourself. This is why I don't like the way that we usually use affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you say you love yourself 500 times in a row, part of you is going, you know, and it's like it's a level of distrust. It's a disharmony within the body when an aspect of you is saying that's completely not true for me, and you're still trying to. It's like a form of like willing denial. So.
Yeah. I found a shortcut for that, Teal, and I think it works. I don't see why it doesn't work. It feels like it works, but basically, when you say an affirmation and your mind's like, no, that's not true. Like, I'm infinitely abundant. My inner dialogue says, dude, you got $3 in your wallet. That dude, you got $3 is also an affirmation. But here's my trick. You ready? So, in the brain, you have the left and the right brain. So if I walk in a figure 8, and y'all won't be able to walk the figure 8 with me, but you can see that I'm walking in a figure 8. If I walk the figure 8 like this, then it shuts down my left and my right brain's ability to have any thoughts other than the affirmation. You know, so I can just do my affirmations while walking in a figure 8, and my brain can't have the other dialogue because it's busy. Does that make sense? Is that logical? Is it weird enough for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same concept that they're using with EMDR, isn't it?
What is EMDR? I don't know that.
Eye movement desensitization. Basically, if you engage both sides of the hemisphere at one time, then it's the same kind of thing you were just describing to me.
Oh, okay.
It's a whole
form of therapy. I mean, it seems to work for me.
I enjoy it for trauma therapy and for a lot of multiple reasons, yes. I've never thought about using it in terms of an affirmation for. I think I'm going to have to think on that one for a while.
Yeah, and in terms of affirmations, you know, sometimes, you know, I love and approve of myself may be tough to get to, but if you can get people to the possibility of it, like I feel the possibility of self-love, then, you know, it's like steps. You know, you take little, and it's being authentic. It's where you're at.
Well, that's the way that I say that you should play affirmations, is you should always affirm something which you basically can believe, which is on the way to what you want to believe. It's a much stronger way of going about affirmations, because it doesn't actually, see, it's like we got to think about things in terms of a gap. Here I am and here's where I want to be. If where I want to be is I love myself, and I say I love myself, but I don't, it makes me more acutely aware of where I'm not. Now I'm more aware of the gap. But if I say, okay, I don't really love myself, but wouldn't it be nice if I could wake up in the morning and look at myself in the mirror and really did like the way I looked? And even the wouldn't it be nice if feels strong to me. If it feels vibrationally strong, I have created a vibrational improvement.
I got you. Yeah, I like that. I mean, it's...
Because here's the thing, like, my major issue with that idea of completely replacing programs is you haven't really dealt with the prior program. You've just put another one in your brain. So now we have a brain that's full of negative programs and positive programs, and they're going to be competing with each other. They're going to be competing for who's stronger. I would rather literally take the negative vibrations and actually move those actual vibrations into a positive space, so that all I have occupying my mind is pure positive vibrations. Do you see how if we literally say, I love myself, and there's an aspect of me that doesn't love myself, I haven't actually changed that one. I've just put a second one in.
Got it.
Now this is going to be a problem, right? I'll tell you why this is a problem. This is a problem because law of attraction will respond to every vibration that is present within us, right? So what we start to see is a mixed vibrational reality, where regardless, it's like, and you'll be confused, because it's like, wait a minute, I'm doing all these things, I'm feeling these positive emotions as a response to these positive affirmations I have, and yet I keep running into all of these negative vibrations. The reason is we haven't purified any of the negative ones, we've just added positive ones. So the reality is responding to both. So we have a very mixed vibrational experience. On this hand, I get $1 million. On this hand, I lose it. On this hand, I find a beautiful woman. On this hand, she's married already. It's that kind of a reality for us, you know.
Wow.
So I wanted to bring up kind of a tricky one.
Okay.
I think the subconscious, you know, is what everyone's like, oh, I want to get rid of my subconscious programming, and I want to get rid of this BS belief systems or bullshit programming that I have. But and then we get at least let me speak for myself. I get frustrated when my subconscious creates something that I didn't desire in this moment. But what I'm working on getting towards is that I came here in this body as a soul, and I requested the exact subconscious I got, and all this, programming that I'm not aware of. Well, that's the juice. That's what's sending me on this path that I chose and where my lessons are. So I don't really want to get rid of my subconscious programming. I want to find a way to watch it like a movie and love it.
So
take me through that.
Okay, well, the very decision to get rid of an aspect of yourself is self-hate.
Wait, say that one more time?
Okay, the very decision or attitude, basically, that you want to get rid of any aspect of yourself is an attitude of self-hate.
Right.
It's the opposite of becoming whole. You cannot take that approach toward yourself whatsoever, regardless of what that is. Now, I'm going to get very aggressive with you and say that if we have an aspect of ourselves that we don't like, it really doesn't matter whether that is actually a part of ourselves or not. If we think it's part of us, it's now part of us. So let's say that you and I could look at a woman and say, oh, she's really pretty, but if she thinks she's ugly, then the reality of her life is that she's ugly. She has to find a way to be in approval of ugliness. Otherwise, there is going to be a discordance within her being. So our number one prerogative, basically, is to become accepting, loving, re-owning of the aspects of ourselves that we have denied, most of which are what we would consider unacceptable attributes. But many unacceptable attributes, ironically, are quite beautiful. I'll give you an example. See, a lot of people think all that's in the subconscious mind are these negative programs, but a lot of your positive talents are there as well. So let's say that there's a girl who's like a singer, but she grows up in a family where singing is not okay, right? You're not going to get a job there. What the hell are you doing? You got to go do something rational. Go become a nurse, right? So she has to suppress that aspect of herself. So when she actually regains her conscious or subconscious, she will also regain the aspect of herself that's an amazing singer. So it's also, there's gold in the subconscious mind.
Yeah, I like that. So, so how do we get less surprised by what our subconscious creates? Because it seems like you can focus on what you desire and focus on what you desire, and then you get thrown this curveball, and it's like, okay, I can observe this and not be pissed about it, but how do we get what happens to us to be more predictable and less wrenches thrown in,
We become more self-aware.
But
self-awareness is really the only way to do what you're talking about, because that's the only way to know what vibrations exist within you, so that when it manifests, you're not surprised or blindsided. It's like, okay, like if I'm aware because of the amount of times this has happened, right? If I'm aware that I have an issue with women, and I don't trust them, then now if I line up with a female who's not trustworthy, it's not going to surprise me anymore.
Ah, love that. Okay.
But we have a very hard time with self-awareness. Why? Because we have to be brave enough to admit the things we don't want to admit to about ourselves. I mean, and that's especially hard to do in a society that says that some things are acceptable and some things are not. And you're surrounded by people who say this is not acceptable. So it's like if you have the tendency, say, to be jealous, and it's not okay to be jealous in the society, because if you're jealous, you're a bad person. What the hell? I don't want to hang out with you. Then how are you supposed to say and admit to yourself and still like yourself, yeah, I'm a jealous person. So obviously I'm not going to be blindsided by this aspect when it hits me and I'm jealous. What you'll notice, and this is why people get so frustrated, they are unwilling to admit to their shadow aspects, unwilling to admit to themselves that are that way, that are jealous. Then when a situation comes up that makes them feel jealous, they spend their time trying to deny the fact that they are, and confused about why it's happening to them.
What I've noticed, too, is the more I've been on this path to abundance, and the more I become abundant, the more authentic I've become, the more my family knows my actual life, not what I lie to them about. The more I discover friends, lose friends, everything becomes more honest.
Yep.
So I have an example of what you were talking about. Like, one of the things that I guess, I don't know if I'd struggle with it, I don't know if that's the right word. I feel like I can be manipulative. I'm shocked. That's probably a big shock to you, Teal. But
I'm so glad to hear you say it.
Rose, settle down. This is not an intervention. But my question is this: like I got about 5 or 6 years ago that this is a dream. Like I proved it to myself with science that this was a dream. So I didn't have the doubts of this is a dream. Like I got empirically, scientifically, this is a dream. And so I've been trying to create things inside of the dream. And for people that don't know it's a dream, you know, I guess I I can manipulate them or send them in a direction that they're not clear on where they're going, but I'm clear. Like I know how they're going to fit into the puzzle. Like so, let me just help them, show them that they could fit into the puzzle in this way.
No.
No what?
No.
I don't think that was a yes or no question.
It was you justifying. So what I'm going to show you, because this is perfect that we're doing this on the Ridiculous Hour, because the audience just got an opportunity to watch what we do in our own lives. So what happened is you feel embarrassed about the fact that you're manipulative. You don't feel good about it yet. You can't even lie to yourself that you do. And do you want to know how I know that that's the truth?
How?
Because you have somebody in the background who said, oh, finally, he's going to admit to it. That means you, sir, are not an acceptance about it. So,
absolutely.
So this is what just happened. You went into a justification as to the higher reason why you are that way. That's to try to make yourself feel okay with the fact that you're that way. That's just justification. Right?
Yep.
What we're looking for is a totally other authentic level of understanding and compassion for yourself as to why you are that way. That's how we make it okay. We don't make it okay as in justifying it. We make it okay as in this is why I am manipulative. Because in my childhood I had absolutely no fucking control over anything in my life. I couldn't control anything. That is an aspect of powerlessness that you can't imagine, and I couldn't come out and just ask people straightforward for what I wanted, so I had to find out ways to manipulate my way into getting it. That's painful. Yeah. Now guess what happened? No, look, just stop for a minute. Look around the room. The woman next to you and the woman across from you both feel a higher level of empathy. Do you feel that their hearts just opened to you?
Yes. I don't know. I see, that's a trick question, because you said, do you feel that their heart's open to you? I know that their heart's open to me with my brain. Like, in terms of did I feel it in my heart, I didn't. I wish I did, to be honest. Like, I'm a thinker, and I'm working on becoming a feeler.
And that is part of why we've got the manipulative aspect. That's another part. I can't connect to other people, so it's very hard for me to see the impact that I have on them.
Yes.
Now you have defined what creates what we would consider a criminal mindset. The criminal mindset had no opportunity really to fully, like, intimately connect with other people. Now, if you can't intimately connect with somebody else, are you really capable of feeling the impact you have on them? No. And that's a defense mechanism which we create, so we don't also have to vicariously feel their impact on us. That just is, it spells I grew up in a painful emotional environment. And so if I, of course, grew up and have these adaptations, that's all it is. All of these negative aspects of ourselves are nothing but adaptations to painful experiences, to trauma, then it's completely obvious why we are the way that we are. But we can work on that also. The point is that by coming into a space where we realize why we are the way that we are and how we got to this space, we have an ultimate, like a super high level of compassion for ourselves. And also we begin to catch ourselves in the act of it. And we can start to exalt it. So if you've got that manipulative aspect, you can start using that in positive ways and take the negative ways that you use it and see that all that's backing it is fear. And then you deal with the fear itself, and then the manipulation isn't there.
I love that. That's a great, I mean, that's like a process. That's good stuff. And you mentioned criminal mind. Like, I don't know what it is. I guess you know more than I do about my past lives, but I have this criminal mind. Like, I can look at anything instantly, and without trying, I know how to rip it off, how to, like, I know how I could go around Houston and eat for free and never get caught. Like, I know all these things, and I don't act on them, but I have this, like you said, it's like a criminal mind. And it gets old hearing those thoughts, but I don't know how to change them. Like, I always know how to, yeah, I manipulate, but I always know how to manipulate at much deeper levels, and I don't.
They are not going to change until you begin to feel safe on this earth, and that is not a reality of your life yet.
Yeah, I think when when we ate pizza, when I went visit you in Utah, like, you said that, because I think I said something crass like, I'm not scared of anything right now. You were like, that's a lie. And I've been thinking about that a lot. And yeah, I don't know if scared is the right word, but I don't feel comfortable on this planet right now. Like, I want to go home or something.
Yeah. Well, that's... Believe me when I tell you that you're so acclimatized to fear that it's going to be very difficult for you to actually know when you are feeling it. Because fear was another not okay to experience emotion in your reality.
And how much does like past lives play into that in terms of, you know, the fear I've built, or do I need to process fear from other lives? I mean,
you could literally drop past lives off completely and never deal with them. The only reason why they would have any application to this life is because they led into why you chose this experience. Do you see how that works?
So, yeah, but I mean, it sounds like it could benefit to know the, you know, like, for example, what's that?
I want to know why. I would like to know why you think it's beneficial to know your past lives.
Well, I've been collecting friends. Like, I have so many friends in this lifetime, and it's hard to keep up with them all and keep a good friendship and a good relationship with them because I have a lot of friends, and I like having a lot of friends. And when I asked you, I sent you a text message and said, was I in a scene? And you said, yes, a very, very, very lonely scene. It clicked. It like made sense for me. So in that regard, it helped me to see, oh, I was a lonely, celibate scene, so I've been a slutty, have a lot of friends guy in this life. It was logical. And I'm not slutty anymore. I've been on a celibacy kick, but I was slutty.
So was it actually knowing about the past lives, or was it having some kind of cognitive way to wrap your mind around what was occurring that made you feel like you were more in control of your experience?
Yeah. So you're saying there's other ways to get to that, but I mean, past lives is one way to get to.
Yeah, people would like to learn about past lives, yes, but my issue with opening the door to the past life conversation is that people love to use it as an excuse for why they are the way they are, and by doing so, they actually prevent themselves from finding healing. Let me explain why. When you come into this life, you're not dragging baggage from past lives. If you've gone through something which caused a lot of expansion, you might choose into a similar life experience in this life. So, like, let's say in a past life, you were an orphan and you gained a lot of experience from that perspective. Then you come into this life with parents who are likewise not engaged in your life because it gives rise to a ton of expansion, and you're not finished with the expansion that could be gained through that type of vibrational experience. Now, this is what we watch with people who go back into past lives. If they find that life that they lived as an orphan, they then say, oh, that's why I feel these feelings, and they completely ignore the quite often suppressed memories that they have of their own parents in this life being disengaged with them, which is the real meat of the wounds which they actually have. The aspects of their consciousness, for example, are not stuck back in that life where they were the orphan. Their aspects of their consciousness which are stuck in time are stuck in their childhood in this life, but they will never look at them because it's always going to be the excuse or the justification. Oh, I feel this way because I was an orphan in a past life. And let me ask you the question. If you find that out, what the hell are you going to do about it? Like, if you were burnt in a past life, what the hell are you going to do about it?
Can't you go back to that moment in time and love that person that was being burned or send unconditional love? I mean, isn't there healing that you can do for once you know?
Yes, but it's just it's a healing like any other mental construct.
You only need to heal it because you went digging for it and found it, and now you need to heal it because you went find it? Or was it there all along unhealed?
No, these things don't remain unhealed after death. That's what we have to understand. The entire reason for the death experience is to wipe the slate clean, so there's no more aspects of your consciousness which are stuck in time.
I like that you said that. So past life karma bullshit? Because I feel it is. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem logical.
Total bullshit.
Okay, great. So no more past life karma.
Well,
Let's close that chapter.
It'll be recreated in this one. You don't have to go past this life to get to it.
So if y'all can't hear, Rosa's saying it'll be recreated in this life. But if it's recreated in this life, then that's still karma. You're still recreating it. That's kind of how it's going to work.
Karma is not a third-party thing. This is what we have to understand. What we're calling karma, I really hate the word because the word is a Hindu word which is associated with your punishment and things like that for what has been done in a past life. We have total creative control because we are extensions of God. So let's say that you are a God and God wants to experience everything, right? Now, let's say God says, wow, a hell of a lot of knowledge and self-awareness was gained from the experience of being an orphan. Let's go in and this next time in life, and let's reactivate those types of experiences. It's a fully conscious thing, not because it like needs to get to a point of perfection, but it's insatiably curious about what will come out of all of these experiences, what will be learned out of all of these experiences. And so you choose into the contrast, into the negative experiences, but that choosing into it is a traumatization. That's where we find the fragments of our consciousness, where aspects of ourselves basically dissociate, become stuck in time. That's those traumatic wounds which we have, basically. But you don't need to go farther than this life for those. It's not like at every point of trauma, over every past life you've ever lived, there are aspects of your consciousness that are stuck. And it's also why if you were to go back to a past life and to deal in the mental construct with that particular past life, say you went back in time, you made it better, right? So you parented your previous life self. That would help to some degree, because it's almost like it would be like any other type of a mental exercise. Feeling better about something. It would cause you to feel better, right? But you're not actually retrieving an aspect of your soul. Whereas when you go back into your childhood self in the current life you're living, and you purify or alter the causation, meaning reparent your childhood self, you are actually literally regaining aspects of your consciousness. The whole point of death is that the totality of your consciousness joins you back in source. So you're not fragmented.
Yeah, my friend Pilar Torres talks about the cosmic giggle, and she talks about how right before we die, we find out that all these other humans were us. Like, we kind of get the oneness, the full extent of it, not the theoretical, I can think about oneness, but like, here's oneness, here's how it feels. And it's like, you just did this to all yourself. So the challenge is to get the cosmic giggle before your deathbed. Is that how it feels to you when you think about death? That like as you're dying, you actually get clued in that this has all been you playing with yourself in a dream?
Yes.
And so if we can get that juiciness now, then we get the cosmic giggle now, then we can just giggle at life and see that, we're in on the joke, I guess you could say.
Exactly. And that's when life really starts to get good, because you're now an active participant in the creation of your life instead of a passive participant in the creation of your life.
Got it.
Which is why we need to do away with the idea of karma.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're saying this, because I've said many times the belief in karma creates karma. And I don't know that it doesn't exist at all without the belief in it, but...
It does, because my belief that something is happening because I deserve it makes me feel like I deserve bad things, makes me line up with more bad things. So yes.
Yeah, and I'm really against, like, I won't say a name, but I went to a Vedic astrologer, and he basically told me, next 3 years of your life is going to suck. And it's like, dude, don't tell me that, because if I believe it, it's true, and it's my fault for going to a Vedic astrologer, I guess. I thought it would be more, I didn't think it would be future-telling as much. But so do you buy into those cycles that they talk about? Because they seem to line up sometimes. I mean...
Yes, but this is what's happening. Anytime you go to see somebody who can see the future, what they're seeing is the potentials that are a match to your current vibration.
Right.
So all that means is, right now, at this, you are lining yourself up with. So they are looking at the pre-manifestation. But that's the goddamn point, isn't it? If they're looking at pre-manifestation, you can shift it. Why else would you be in that room to hear about that crap if you were meant to just go through it and that's the end of it? Oh, not only are you going to get tortured and killed, you're going to know it first, and there's nothing you can do about it. Are we serious right now?
Yeah. Good point. And true or false? I like quick fire. True or false? Past lives and future lives are happening simultaneously now. And can we affect past and future lives by what we're doing now?
Yes.
Is it possible not to affect past and future lives with what we're doing now?
No.
Okay. So it's like this ripple going, but your belief is that focus here. Like, why focus there when that's not where you're at? Like, you're on this planet, in this dimension, in this life. Focus here.
That is the stereotypical perception of what spiritual teachers would say. I would say focus at wherever is most beneficial for you to focus at right here and now, but that there is like open to interpretation.
Gotcha. So if past lives are fun, if you love, playing with past lives, then do it. If it's painful, then don't.
Yes, but if you're using it to escape your now, then see how it gets more complicated, and we have to be super, super honest about why we're doing the things that we're doing. See, I'm the kind of person who will tell you that every single tool that we have in this universe is beneficial for some vibrational state. But the very thing which could heal us could also poison us at a certain point. So where one day, thinking about past lives may benefit us, the next day it may be the very thing that's keeping us back. We have to be flexible enough to not keep using the same tool in the toolbox.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've come up with a solution to all this people not being present. We talked about it on the show before, but I don't think it was a show you were on. But it's these earbuds you put in, and then every like 15 seconds it just goes now, and then 15 seconds later now, and then once you get used to that, or you get more into now, then you could set it to 30 seconds, and then when you're advanced, like every 5 minutes, and then eventually you wouldn't need it anymore.
You're a genius.
Like you take the training wheels off.
I really think you should probably make those, because that would be a tool that a lot of people would use.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I have like at 1:11 and 11:11 and 3:33 on my phone. I set a phone reminder that says smile and breathe in calm confidence, and it's funny because it irritates me. Like the alarm goes off and I know it's like, oh, it's 3:33. My alarm goes off, and it's like I feel the irritation of like, oh god damn it, I got to turn my alarm off. It's like, and then I read the alarm. It's like smile and breathe in calm confidence, and almost every time it's like, oh okay. Fuck.
What's that doing for his vibration there?
Well, it's making me aware that I'm not in the moment. Because if I get pissed off by something saying smile and breathe calm confidence, I'm probably not in the moment.
Yep.
Do you have any techniques to keep yourself in the moment? Because you have more access to other dimensions than most people. You could go floating around. You meet a lot of spiritual people that mostly just float around and they don't spend a whole lot of time in 3D. Do you have what is your technique to stay in 3D and in the moment?
I use my body to do it. So, I mean, I've created a practice. I didn't have a timer at this point, so I just really committed to making it something that I did throughout the day as much as I possibly could. I would come back to the way that the experience feels. So at first I would think about the way that the temperature in the room felt. Then I would think about the way that my pants felt against my skin. It was all about tactile sensations. Because for somebody like myself, that's really the only aspect that's fully in 3D. Because auditorily, I'm getting affected by other dimensional realities. I am seeing other dimensional realities 24 hours a day, and so really it's just my physical body that's purely here, and it's probably why I got into sports, quite honestly. I use athletics to keep me in the present moment.
Nice.
That happens to me when I dance. Yeah. Do you like to dance?
I did at one time.
Yeah. I noticed that people that have gone through a lot of trauma or have are shy, I guess, because of trauma, they tend to not be able to dance.
Yep.
I wonder if you can dance. Do you think you can dance?
Yeah. I would love to say yes, but like my idea of a living hell is clubbing, because you just like are gyrating your body with particular like choreography. That does flip me the hell out. Oh, I guess I fit your mold. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you feel about twerking then? Do you know what twerking is?
Yes, and I get so uncomfortable.
Personally, I love it because it. Okay, so I did this.
You want to show us what this is?
I could. Yeah, fuck it.
Not everybody knows what twerking is. We have a lot of global people on.
Man, I would have worn actual pants.
Come on, just show us what twerking. So Anna's going to show us what twerking is real quick.
Okay. While we do this.
This is the ridiculous hour, and while they set up for that, Teal, or audience, we're gonna be taking some questions. So between about 1 o'clock and about 1:15, You can go ahead and type your questions in that time to make it a little easier for us to find. And Daryl Sprout, if you are listening, one of my favorite cosmic brothers, if you can pick which questions you think would be logical and send them to me as a Facebook message, that would be great. And if you agree to do that, you can send me a text message. That would be even greater. And if you can't, that's fine. Somebody else will. But I saw you chatting in there earlier, so appreciate if you can do that. All right, you ready for this?
So this is my defense on twerking.
We got a live demo. Spiritual twerking.
I don't understand the difference in twerking and something like an African dance, like whining, that is very much accepted. I saw, like, on Instagram or something, there was a twerk class, and there was a video of it. There was a little girl in the class, and all the comments were like, how can you take your little girl to twerk class, blah, blah, blah. And I understand, I get it, but I don't understand where we went that was not okay. Does that make sense? Because African whining is completely normal. Kids do it all the time.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, okay.
We're going to demo both.
Let's demo both.
Here we go.
Oh, twerking, let's see.
Is this twerking or that was twerking?
That was a little bit of twerking.
And now we're gonna do
whining is more like that's whining, more like this.
Okay.
Very low. Yeah.
So shake your booty, heal your body is what Anna's.
Let me ask you a question. When you're doing that, like when you're really into it, what happens in your body that makes you enjoy it?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Where do you feel the pleasure? In the booty?
In the booty. In the booty.
Booty pleasure.
It's like, I don't know. This motion makes me feel like, hey, woo, yeah. I don't know. What is that?
So,
how does it feel in my body? I don't know. I feel free. I feel like yeah, free.
You know that the hips are the center of stability? It's basically, if you look at somatic experiencing, the hips are really the center of the self. And so a lot of times if you have a dramatic change, say you're doing a somatic therapy technique, and let's say you integrated a big aspect of yourself that you've never felt before, they'll actually have you start pivoting your hips around and moving your pelvis just because that helps your body to assimilate the emotion. So what could potentially be happening for people who really like that, now this is sort of like on a physical level, not just like a cultural level, because we've got the cultural argument for twerking, we've also got the physical argument. The physical argument, like the healing aspect of twerking, if you want to move your body in that way, is that it could quite literally be causing an alignment between the emotional, mental, and physical self, because the hips and that whole area of the body is the center of the self.
I completely feel that. And it's interesting that whining is so similar, and twerking is used in African dance a lot, too. So could you not do that? Because it throws me off. Sorry.
What?
No,
I put the video on her, and she doesn't like to see herself. We'll just let people look at Teal while you talk. Go ahead.
Look, what did I do wrong?
No, you're good.
No, it's him.
She's irritated with me manipulating things and controlling it. I control the video.
That is the first time somebody's twerked for me, so that's the surprise.
So, were you finished with that thought, by the way?
Yes, because I don't remember anymore.
Well, and here's the thing. I believe, you know, I go to a static dance in our little community in Houston here. It's a great little family, and they also have dream dance. You can look up a static dance, dream dance, your community. But it was healing for me because I grew up Cajun. Like, I grew up dancing, you know, dancing with girls. You get drunk, you dance with guys. Like, you'd be surprised how homophobic guys will dance with each other at a wedding when they're drunk. Like, you know, so, yeah, in Louisiana. But when I got to static dance, like, oh, now I have to go, I don't have to, but I chose to go and dance by myself. That scared the shit out of me. I mean, like, dancing by myself, what are people going to think about me? Am I going to be the best dancer? Like, and it's real, the community creates a space where truly you can feel like no one's judging you. And it was still really, really hard for me to get going. In fact, two different girls, Bonnie and Cheryl's done it a few times, will have to grab me and pull me out onto the dance floor to get me started. And then I'm okay, like once I get started. But each time, I have to push past that. A lot of people don't realize and they don't believe me when I tell them, but I'm a very shy person. Like, I am. I've just been pushing past my fears so much that you don't see it very often, but I'm still quite shy. So I think for that purpose, like dancing by yourself and getting to the point where you don't feel judged, it was incredibly healing for me, at least.
Oh yeah, it would be, for sure.
So maybe, maybe we could do a little ecstatic dance after one of your workshops sometime. Austin would be a good place to dance.
Yes.
Contact Improv. And
It's the live music capital of America, I think.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah. Austin City Limits, the greatest
actually,
live music show ever.
South by Southwest is the biggest music conference ever, and it's in Austin. It's so great.
Yeah.
Literally all new artists, pretty much if you want to be somebody in the music industry, you go to South by Southwest.
Teal, you're going to like this, actually. Anna's dream is to, I'm putting it on you, I don't care. Anna's dream is to create a music festival where we create communities, like kind of like a burn, when they do regional burns or even Burning Man, they create this community and they take it down. But we're going to create a community, have a music festival, and then when we leave, people can live in the spaces that we created to put on the shows. You know, like we turn that space into living for, you know, hippies. and you know, we finally
and hip hop heads.
What's that?
And hip hop heads and
right.
all kinds of artists. Artists, how about that one?
Artists.
Yeah.
Got it.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're almost at 1 o'clock. We're gonna get to questions in a minute. Okay, so go ahead.
I want to know how you feel about porn stars, strippers.
I'm following.
Yeah, porn stars and strippers. So, the reason I ask is because I've noticed that there's a lot of porn stars and a lot of strippers who actually really love their job. And so I feel like that can't be wrong, you know? So it completely, I don't know what to think anymore, basically.
Yeah.
The problem is that we're trying to make it wrong or right, when universally no such thing exists. And so you could have somebody who really, their decisions to do things like that was not motivated by trauma whatsoever, and then doing it would be supremely in alignment.
Right.
With this idea of pole dancing becoming a sport now, you have actually more people who are in the business now who are not in the business because of trauma. They're in the business because they love their art form. And those people are purely in alignment. It just so happens to be that the vast majority of people that are in those particular businesses, they have absolutely no boundaries. Personal boundaries, body boundaries, that's because of trauma when they're younger. And as a result, not valuing themselves. As a result, feeling like that's the only aspect of themselves that has any value, they go into things like that. So, based on the individual person, but you will be able to feel the difference. Like if you walk into a strip club, you will feel the difference between the person who really loves doing what they're doing as an art form and the person who is really doing this thing that they may be very good at because it's just like their self-worth is so damn low that it's not an issue if guys invade my boundaries. Why is that a problem? It's always happened to me. I don't have a choice. You know?
Yeah.
I see.
Interesting. Yeah. I know. When I lived in Atlanta, I hung out with a lot of escorts, and I was always trying to like get them a restaurant job or something. And finally, one of them sat me down. She's like, "We don't want your restaurant job. Like, we chose what we do. Why are you trying to fix this?" And I got it. Like, it landed on me. Like, I was trying to fix them, and there was nothing broken there. And not to say that some girls, are in that, especially, the girls that have no choice. We're not forgetting about those, but to some degree, the ones that chose it willingly, at least, they did make a choice, and there's something that their life lesson is their soul is gaining from it. They wouldn't be there.
Oh yes, and when they come to me as clients, we work with why they made that choice, and quite often it's a very traumatizing answer.
Yeah.
Which is the reason that I don't spend time in strip clubs. Like, I would love that kind of stuff. I would serve like, okay, ready, exposure moment. I am completely captivated by the female body. I think it's like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life, and I love watching girls strip on poles.
Right? Like,
I love it, but like I can't go to strip clubs most of the time because of just the pain, you know, that's in those places because of the people.
Because most of them aren't in alignment.
But
No, and most of them hurt. That's the end of it.
This may seem like an insensitive question, but I'm being authentic here. So I know you won't judge me, Teal, but audience, y'all can judge me if you need to.
I'm judging you.
Good. Is it sometimes that a girl that's been in trauma and has had self-esteem issues, self-love issues, whatnot, and putting herself vulnerably in a position where people are looking at her body, but they're admiring her body, puts her in a place of pride, I don't know what the word is, but puts her in a place of, okay, maybe my body is great and all these people adoring it. Can that be a healing experience? My question.
Yes, it can, but more often than not, women are doing those jobs because literally the only aspect of themselves that has ever been approved of is that aspect of themselves. And then that creates its own kind of wounds, because what happens if I lose it? Now I have to maintain it. Now that's the only aspect of me anybody gives a shit about.
Yeah, now I turn 50 and I'm worthless because, got it. Okay, fair enough.
It's like, the thing is the kind of girls that I would pick,
Yeah.
usually if you've had a girl who's been sexually abused, usually that sexual abuse is molestation, usually happening with somebody that either that knew the family or was in the family, and so literally the only appreciation they did have for their whole life was what they looked like or their body or their sexuality. The kind of girls where that would, what you're explaining about, would be super, super healthy are people who were the ugly ducklings growing up, who were super, you know, overweight. And then they get to a point where they like, oh, you know what, you got to get up there and have people appreciate who you are. Now that is an aspect of healing relative to that particular vibration.
Yeah.
It's the little girls in like farm towns in Arkansas whose dads protected them too much, who like are prized for their brains and not for their bodies, that need to do those types of things.
Got it.
Interesting.
So it's kind of like the teenage movies where you take the glasses off of her and, you know, fix her hair up, put a little makeup on, and she turns into this, you know, princess or whatever.
Well, preferably without that much of a change.
Right.
I'd rather just
Well,
I feel you.
in my case,
Well, hold on. Come. If you're going to talk, we need to hear you.
in
There you
my case, Teal, I was like, my dad's a Baptist preacher, and then when I was young, I was super, super skinny, picked on like crazy, and then I got pregnant. And after the pregnancy, I had a body, and my whole life fell apart, and I wound up stripping. And I actually used to dance to, like, I've Got a Friend in Jesus. It was like, you know.
Wow.
And so it gave me that, but as I continued in it, it was still this, like, one of my dad's favorite old beliefs that was in there was, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. And I was around very wealthy men that were willing to put me up, and I probably could have bettered my life quite better had I not had that belief.
Yep.
You know? And so it was a double-edged sword, but it definitely gave me the self-esteem as far as physically, but then it became that I was only wanted for one thing. And then, so then I went to the extreme of being 268 pounds. And then now I'm back around the other. And so and actually stripping has come up like numerous times again. And I got my dance back with the static dance. And that expression in a different way, to have my dance in a healthy way. But I say all the time, used to, I'd take off my clothes and they'd throw money at me. So what's up now? You know?
And they do naked ecstatic dances. I don't know about our Houston community. I think they've done one or two around here, but I know they do them in different cities. And I don't know if it's called a static dance, but naked dancing under the moonlight. Okay, I got one more question.
I want you to remember something.
Yes.
Every action taken in this universe is taken to try to get unconditional love. So, I mean, that was like that story that was just given is the most perfect example of that. Going from one end of the scale to the other end of the scale. Everything is just the attempt to be loved.
Yeah. Yeah, and thanks for sharing that, Rose. That
was awesome. This is the authentic. P.S. Can I just tell you something? This is the authenticity which I am trying to bring to this world. Is to have this world be a place where, you know, you can literally be like, yeah, I was a stripper, and nobody thinks anything of it because it's just a part of your life. It's not like a shame. It's awesome. And I can say, what? I was sexually abused. And you can say, guess what? I have a criminal mindset. And we're all like, oh my God, guess what? We're still here for each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny you say that because last night I came out of the closet to my roommates, like literally out of the closet, like most of them knew already, but that I've had sex with a man. And I'm not hiding that anymore. Like, you know, this will be seen by a bunch of people. I tried it. It wasn't for me. You can call me whatever you want, but I'm glad I tried it because I had so much curiosity my whole life. I'd kissed a few guys around the way, and, you know, when I finally tried it, it was like, oh, okay, that's what that is, and it's nice. Not for me. It's not my thing, you know, but you know, I
See,
did it, and it's, you know, it's something that I wouldn't take back for sure, even though it wasn't for me.
can you feel the freedom in saying that? Like, because you know the difference between sort of trying to keep that secret and just like exposing it to whoever. What's the difference?
Yeah, but there's a certain safety in that. My friends that would judge me the most can't handle you, Teal. So, and they can't handle my own radio show, so they're not watching anyway.
Right.
And the people that are watching can handle it. That's why they can. That's why they're watching. You know, because
But you exposed it to everybody. So even if you expose, so here's the good question, which I want you to answer. Because this is not going to be good coming from me, because everyone knows I'm about openness. I'm all openness, right? So here's the thing. From your perspective, why would you even come out like that to people who would not be able to receive the information? Why? Why not?
Why not what?
Hide it.
Why not keep hiding it from the people who can't take it, and only give it to the people who can? Because that's a very different decision. Because a lot of people who are part way to openness, they'll come out to people they know can take it, but they won't come out to the world itself. Now, what's the difference?
Well, I think if you know, I mean, for one, it's not that the opportunity of coming out as being vulnerable. It's not that vulnerable if you're only telling people you know are going to accept it. You know, you're not truly accomplishing the vulnerability aspect of it. I mean, not to say that that's the reason to come out with anything, but for me, that's why I come out, because I'm okay with being vulnerable, and that's
what good does it do to your life to become vulnerable?
I've been somewhat of a Vulcan. Like, I have this ability to be very neutral with my feelings, and like here, let's say Anna's like one of my best friends. I could hear her mom died, and I could be sad, but it's almost like faking sadness. Like, I'm not really that sad about it, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to change that. But being vulnerable is an access to my feelings that I can't find other ways.
Perfect. This is the way I'd describe it. People live inside of all of these walls, and the walls are the facade that we show other people. When we strip those walls down, we have an opportunity at actually connecting with other people at the heart center. So vulnerability is really the core of our ability to be intimate, and our intimacy is the core of our ability to actually embody oneness.
Got it. Can you say vulnerability again?
Why vulnerability?
You say it cool. You say it cool. It's not like I forget how you say it. Vulnerability?
Vulnerability, yeah.
I like the way you say it. Okay, so I'm going to ask my one question, and then we're going to go to your questions, and then we're going to go to the thing. So I haven't heard from Daryl on text, so Amy, I see you're listening as well, or Jose. If someone could send me, you know, go through the questions that'll be in the next, from now until 1:15, and then give me the good ones, and I'll grab them. If not, I'll go in there and grab some. I don't mind, but just maybe make it easier. So my question, Teal, is, yeah, in this life, at this time, on this planet, I've heard from multiple sources that I trust that we're to a point now where we don't have to reincarnate to get to the next lesson. Like, there's an opportunity to actually, you know, I don't know if I want to say evolve, but reach a space where we don't have to reincarnate, and we can just actually live, and we can live a lot longer. We can let go of the belief in aging. We can. I'm reversing aging. I feel and look better than I did when I was 30. So, like, is that true? And if so, does that mean we're going to live longer? And what does that mean for our planet and for us, if it's true?
That was always the opportunity. So it's not like the opportunity exists that didn't always exist. What it is that more people are stepping into being aware of that opportunity than ever before. So you could consider it a collective evolution instead of just this rare individual evolution.
But the energies of the planet and the fact that more people are accessing it, the fact that this and that, does it make it easier than it would have been 200 years ago? Because 200 years ago you'd have been kind of on your own, and not only just on your own studying and meditating, but literally, like collective consciousness-wise, your consciousness was kind of alone in that.
Yes.
And now we have the 100th monkey. I think the 100th human has officially evolved, so the rest of us can just follow through.
Yes.
Do you know why you sit in the front of a roller coaster?
To die first if it falls off.
So you don't get puked on. But yeah, I like that answer too. And I feel like, you know, a lot of the spiritual path people, and I don't know, that's a funky term. I mean, everyone's on a spiritual path, but a lot of the people that have chosen to bulldoze through shadow work and mirror therapy and all that, it's like I visualize we have this machete and we're clearing a path. You know, we're clearing a trail for others to walk through later. Is that what it feels like for you?
Yes.
Yeah, because we have to, you know, we have to go through stuff that other people later will maybe have to go through, but won't be as tough because the access to the healing is in the Akashic records, right?
Yes.
We used to talk about the. Oh, Daryl is here. Okay, yeah, we talked about that on an old show about reading the book of the Akashic records. It never gets old and it lasts forever. So, can you read? Do you personally, or could you personally read your future lives?
Yes.
And do you?
Yes.
Do you mean you hang out?
Do I hang up?
Do you and I hang out?
In the future.
In the future.
Yes.
Are we enemies again?
No.
Ah, no, I'm just teasing.
No.
Yeah, me and Teal have been arch enemies a couple times. Couple times?
Couple times.
Yeah. In this lifetime, do you consider me an arch enemy in this lifetime? Ah, I'll keep working at it. I'll keep trying. All right, cool. So now we're gonna get to Anna's question.
Okay. My question is about Houston.
Okay.
What in the hell is going on in Houston? And why is it so awesome still? Because there's so much, I guess there's so much people moving in here that it's just creating this surge of art that's very unique. And I just feel there's something going on here, like some kind of movement is starting or something, because and other artists from Houston feel it too. So can you see anything going on? Like, what's going on here?
Well, the vibration in Houston's been very, very low and very, very military for so long that people have felt oppressed. And anytime there's an oppression, whether it's the oppression is poverty or whether the oppression is government or whether the oppression is whatever, it gives rise to a lot of desire for expression. And the people of Houston are now stepping into that expression.
Hell yeah.
I have a follow-up question for that. So I made up something that Houston has 3% of the smartest people in the world because we have the engineers, we have the doctors, the scientists, we have 3% of the most intelligent people on the planet. Is that true or false?
False.
Ow! Dang it. 2.5%?
Not even close.
No. So it's high, it's much higher. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. That it's much higher.
How about
and we'll
just
leave it at that.
Joseph
Okay.
Zenner
No, it's a crap ton lower.
in the world?
It's a what?
It's a crap ton lower. Most of the smartest people in the world are in China, and you will never hear about them.
Oh.
Really? Interesting. Oh, I wanted to ask a question, a follow-up question from my earlier question on if we choose in this lifetime. So if we can get to a point in this lifetime that we can let go of our beliefs in aging and we can live for much longer periods, putting beautiful foods in our bodies, blah, 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 what is the age range that we can get to? And, you know, because I've heard that people used to live 800, 900 years old. I've heard there's a 900-year-old monk that they water him or something.
You could live for as long as you wanted to live. The only reason why you would go into another life is that the other life facilitated your expansion more so than this one.
Yeah. Or your BMW has too many dings on it. You know, you got.
This is how it works. You are going to be in this life for as long as it takes for you to continually line up with your desires. If this time-space reality is giving rise to new desires, and if you will line up with those desires, then this is still a valid place to be for the sake of expansion, so you will continue living. It's just that the majority of people die nowadays because they can't keep up with their own expansion because of their societal beliefs.
Got it.
Oh.
Want me to tell you really why the timeline has been what it has been physically? It's because most of the time you'll notice that as a person becomes, they go through school and then they become 20s and they're learning the skills which they want to learn, learning, keyword, they're learning all those things. They pick a profession and then they stay in that profession and they atrophy. So it's like I'm not learning anything new. I'm just redoing the same things I learned when I was 20 over and over again. And then my desires atrophy, basically. And so the only way to gain more expansion is by coming into a whole new perspective. So if you're the kind of person who changes your perspective, changes your desires, continues to line up with those desires, you literally could be here eternally if you wanted to be. But most people are enticed by the freshness of the new perspective. Who wants to keep eating vanilla ice cream for the rest of your life? Perspective is like a vanilla ice cream, unless you change your perspective, and then it becomes what? Strawberry ice cream.
Especially when you're old.
Exactly. But that's just an excuse, too.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, they don't become strawberry ice cream in their lifetime. They stay vanilla ice cream. So they have to die to do that.
So do you get to a point sometimes where you're like, wow, I really am in alignment with Source. I feel Creator. I know I'm part of Creator. And you're like, yeah, I want to forget that, and I want to get a new body and start from scratch.
Yes.
And is there an opportunity on this planet, Earth, to not forget when we reincarnate? To reincarnate but keep our juicy info that we're part of God?
Yes.
Is that coming for everyone, or is that a choice for each soul, or...
That's already come.
It's a what?
That's already come. That's what you're watching with the influx of crystal children and rainbow children. This new influx is an influx of beings which, like myself, chose to come into this life whilst not turning off the aspect of themselves that remembers what's before.
Oh, got it.
But that is the evolution in the human race.
I think I chose to forget, like, more than you could even forget. Like, I chose to forget to the level that I could empirically know it and get it scientifically and still not get it.
Not even close.
Well, what I'm saying is, though, like, I've been knowing that we're part of God. I've been knowing that we're part of Creator and that we're creation and blah, blah, blah since I was 19. I just haven't been living it. You know what I mean? Like, I got it, you know,
in my head. Because most people don't even get it.
Right? But I don't feel like I've lived it. Like, I've kind of, you know, I've used my spiritual knowledge to my benefit more so than I've used it to help anyone. I mean, not to say that I haven't helped people, but you know what I mean by that. You of all people, Teal, you know what I mean.
You want my comment on that?
Well,
Comment.
Please.
I feel like it's a complete fucking lie. Because here we are sitting on this radio show, which was your brainchild, which is designed to help people. So you saying, well, I haven't really done much fit to help other people is like, well, what the hell are we doing right now?
Well, I feel like, yeah, I mean, I feel like I've stepped into it, but I mean, I live most of my life as a beer-drinking slut. And just in the last few years, I've started to change that. But,
You don't comprehend a great deal of this universe, do you? Because the majority of people are still drinking beer and are still a slut at age 80, and then they die of, like, emphysema.
Well, I get that. I mean, to be honest.
The way, it's kind of ridiculous, actually.
Hey, using my word. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I do kind of in a way feel like it's time for me to go back to football and beer, because I miss it. And I drank beer last night. I mean, it's not like I never drink beer. I drink way less than I used to. But
why did you miss it?
Oh God, here we go. I think one of my friends coined it best. He said he'd given up weed for a year, and I was like, dude, how do you feel? You know, how did that work for you? And he was like, man, I realized that when I thought about giving up weed, I felt like the party was going to end. And for me, that's how it is. Like, if I give up some of my habits, like, the party's going to end. I'm gonna have to grow up. I'm going to have to be a grown-up.
So your issues, you ready for this?
Yeah.
A lot of people would look at your life and they would assume that you are somebody who just, like, never grew up. The reality is you were expected to grow up too fast, and so you never actually got that to a place where you were ready for the next development, which was to take full responsibility for yourself in your life. So it still feels like a burden. You were not ready when that was imposed on you. That's why it feels that way.
But I mean, I don't feel like, you know, I didn't have one of those I mean, I had a great childhood. My parents were amazing, you know, like, I had everything I could ask for. I mean, I left home early at 17, but, like...
Nobody had amazing parents. I mean, let's just fucking get over this, because we use those words. There is not one human on earth that actually had amazing parents. Would you like to know why? It's actually impossible for that to happen right now. Like, I mean literally impossible. Like, even the best parent, I mean best, like, you literally, like, put these people in a training center, teach them how to do it perfectly, according to every scientist, every child psychologist, every, like, emotional intelligence person. If you are even trying to fit a person into today's society, it is not possible to not cause trauma.
I mean, I guess from my perspective, all I saw, I mean, you know, they did their best, and they read parenting books, and we had family meetings every Sunday, and we had to put stuff on the freezer that we had issues with, and we would address the issues, and, like, it was very healthy. I mean, it was. I mean, we had our issues. You know, we had teenage times for my sister. That was rough on the whole family, but...
If I was to take you
to
another society that raises children in a more alignment way, your life would seem like hell, even though it's heaven compared to some of us.
I'm not following that. What is that?
Follow it.
Yes, ma'am.
You're trying to protect your parents right now. That's what's happening. You're not listening to me because you're trying to protect your parents.
Well, I don't feel like I am. I mean, they truly did their best. I'm not saying they were perfect, you know. I mean, but
protecting them. You're defending them right now.
I am, because they did a great job. I believe they deserve.
Well, then this is what I'm going to tell you. As long as you would like to maintain that perspective, you will never find where you're traumatized, because you will be convinced that it isn't there.
Yeah, I mean, I get some of it. I do, because, like, when I was a kid, they would put us in our rooms, and you know, they would say whoever's ready to admit they did it can come out of the room. So my sister would come out and she's like, look, and she had done it. And she'd say, look, Joseph did it, but I'm going to admit it and take the punishment because he's so stubborn. He's just going to stay in his room all day. And my mom would be like, oh, that is so sweet. You just go do your thing, and I'll let him sit in his room and stew over it. And I'd hear all this, and I knew she was lying. And what I got from that is I need to become a better liar. Like, if I can't lie at the rate that my sister does, then I'm going to lose at this game, because I got to be better at lying. And so I did. I became a really, really good liar. And then I had to spend my whole 20s stopping exaggerating stories, and in my whole 30s stop lying to girlfriends, and now I don't lie as much anymore. But there's still, you know, it's still there. Like, and that, so there's that. But they were trying to be fair. They just didn't quite get it right.
I don't want you to justify what they were doing. This is not a fight between whether your parents were good parents or bad parents. This is you realizing there are aspects of yourself which didn't get what it needed. And as a result, you have things like this, where you're afraid the party's going to go away or whatever, and it's actually just a trauma imprint, which really doesn't have anything to do with the reality that if alcohol goes away, partying goes away or whatever.
Okay, but let's go there, because you know, I don't. You had me. You threw me for a loop and eating pizza when you told me that there was some trauma, but I've gone looking for it and I can't find it.
If I was with you, I would have you find it. Trust me.
No, I know that. But do you have any techniques for all of us that if we're
yes,
I
can, yeah, but I've just developed the process. I'm like literally, the book is being edited right now. I finished the process. It is completed, and when that comes out, everybody's going to have the actual process.
Nice. Can you give us a synopsis of either the process or what it's going to look like?
Yeah, the first part is by acts. You have to basically act in the very moment. This is really awkward, right? Because it means when you have like those powerful, all-consuming, this is going to kill me type of feelings, you go into the feeling instead, right? And you use that to connect yourself back to the memories which you have essentially lost.
Got it.
Then you observe the memory, and you turn the memory into a visualization. And there's a very specific way which I have people do that, which of course is in accordance with the way the human subconscious mind works. But you turn it into an active visualization, so you're actually improving the causation of the experience. So like, for example, let's say if we went back to that experience, we would ask the little childhood self in that room, what do you need to have happen right now? So at that moment, the adult self, after validating those feelings, this feels really bad. You're right to feel super sad, which, by the way, even in your story about what you just said, the story about your sister, lying, you still didn't acknowledge the feeling. You just acknowledged the thought, I need to start lying more. The reality is, when you feel like you're put on trial for something you didn't do, that is a superbly powerful negative emotion, which has to be validated. It's right to feel that way. That's ridiculous. Now, what does this kid actually need? Probably the kid needs to be defended. The kid needs for the adult self to walk out and be like, hold the phone, to the mother. No, this is her that did this. She's lying to you, and you need to be smart enough to be able to understand that children are capable of that. Now you're setting your son up in the future by just believing, one of the two of them. You're setting your son up to have this issue with lying perpetually in the future because you're rewarding it right now. So, and your little childhood self needs to see you defending it in that way. And then we figure out how to make the scene better. So maybe that's visualizing the parent saying, "I'm sorry, we're sorry that we did this, we majorly messed up." Maybe that's, it fill in the blank, because based on whatever mental memory that you're having, what you need is going to be different. Maybe this aspect of you just needs to be taken to another safe place. Maybe this aspect of you needs to have your room in the memory made more safe. Maybe you need to reunite with your parents. Maybe you need to be given new parents. Who the hell knows? It changes based on each particular memory. But by altering that, you actually alter the effects. So an effect of that would be the lying. So what you notice when you go back and you change the causation is that maybe in your adult life you would have lied in a particular situation, but today you don't.
Interesting. And I think the strange irony that I just realized in hearing you talk was that I kind of got that I need to be a better liar and picked up some lying habits or whatever, but I also got that truth is really important. I became like a truth teller and a conspiracy theorist. Like, I got to get the truth out. The truth has to come out, and I'm going to tell the truth. I don't care what people think. Like, so I got that too out of it, which is interesting. Like, I got both sides of it. Like, I got to tell the truth and you learn how to lie at the same time from the same experience.
I'm really glad you said that, because I want to explain something. You are the kind of person who has an incredible talent for seeing the beauty that comes out of rancor. Right?
Rancor?
Yeah. Rancor.
I don't know what rancor is.
Negative, squalor, bad stuff, right?
Okay.
You're really good at that. That's a talent of yours. Keep the talent.
Thank you.
We don't need to deal with that talent because it's working for you. That's working for you. I don't need to teach you how to do that. The problem is there's an aspect of you that feels powerless, feels disenfranchised, feels sad. It needs to be acknowledged, not just bypassed. And sometimes when you take a little aspect of yourself that feels totally powerless and like you've been blamed for crap that wasn't your fault, stuff like that, and you say, you know what, that's good though because I learned to be true, that aspect of yourself is like feeling so just like worse and invalidated. And then that becomes a stronger point of attraction by default. So we want to take care of both aspects. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But that's uncomfortable. You have to be willing to be really uncomfortable, because it's more comfortable to bypass and just be like, no, I can see the beauty in it, and that's the end of it, and not really address the aspect of you that is still stuck there in that room as a little kid who was completely blamed for stuff you didn't do and didn't know how to get out of that aspect of powerlessness. Yeah?
Yeah, got it.
He's like, no, I'm just going to tune that out.
No, I was...
You're nailing him.
Yeah, no, I had to go to Facebook to see if the questions are coming in because we're about to go to questions. So I did, but I knew that I was going to listen to it. I'll probably listen to this 3 or 4 times, too, so I will get it in hindsight. And
that's when you're going to learn how to unconditionally love, by the way, and I'm hoping you and I get to work together in that way.
That would be fun. Yeah, indeed. And I think, I don't need to go there right now.
See, this is what we do. So people like you and I do really well together because of the fact that I could come to you if I'm struggling with seeing the bigger picture, the beauty that could come out of it, right? Because that's something that a lot of people struggle with. I'm the kind of person who people can come to when there's an aspect of themselves that just can't line up with that beautiful experience and feels stuck and feels like it's caught in the past and really needs to be like nurtured and held and given unconditional presence.
Nice. So we promised that the last half of the show would be questions, so we're going to get to questions now. I wanted to tell you a quick technique.
Just look at him. God loves you, Joseph, but you're just like, yeah.
I heard that. I caught it.
I just realized.
And I'm with you.
I just realized
Let's change the
I'm
subject.
like y'all's love child.
Everyone's got to have a love child.
Coaching, and I did her shadow work.
That's right.
And so I did both of y'all's work.
Me too.
So we're y'all's love child, so
True.
Joseph and Teal.
That's what's up. So I'm gonna give you a quick thing that I found that's really cool. You take whoever or whatever group, it could be a group of people, better if it's a person that's irritating you the most, and then you think about like what's irritating you about that person.
Okay.
And then here's the kicker. What general advice would you give them if you knew they would take it? So like, what general advice would you give this person if you knew they would take it?
Okay.
And so if everyone has that advice, and then that's yours. Like, take that advice. That person will no longer, if you actually get that advice and take it to heart, that person will no longer irritate you in that way. They may irritate you in another way, and then you got to do the process again and say, well, what advice would I give them this time? And that's how you see it. It's all your shit. Like, it's never not worked. I've done it in a group of 20 people. Have people raise their hands if it wasn't them, and sometimes somebody will raise their hand, but when I dig into it, it's so their advice. It was so their advice that they weren't seeing it as their advice. And one time their friends were like, it was about control, and she was like, well, I don't have any issues with control, and her friends were like,
Oh, shit.
So anyway, that's a neat trick.
That's
Do you want to share what advice you had for yourself, Teal?
What advice I have for myself? In which
Did you not do the process with me, Teal? Are you paying attention?
Right then, but yeah, but you weren't the one who was me right then. Yes, you really want me to do it?
Yeah. I want to know what. You don't have to tell who the person is, but you can tell what the advice is.
I'll do it. Let's just do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
This is all about authenticity. I'll have an authentic moment right now. All right, I am getting like irritated to high heaven with this woman, Jessica Shab, who just will not get off my back, basically.
Got it. And so what?
So I was to give her advice. This is so funny that you have this technique, because this particular technique which you have just presented is something which the Chinese monks teach.
Ooh,
Oh, nice.
Look at you.
Well, I figured it out with dealing with my baby mama. So
Okay,
my baby mama is more advanced than any Chinese monk in terms of being a teacher.
this is a good one. By the way, I think that I might write a blog about this. I'll mention you in the blog, but I think this particular technique is like worth spreading everywhere.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. I mean, because what it does is it takes the 3 people that irritate me most and helps me see that those are 3 coaches for me right now. Whether I like the coaching or not, it's coaching. And if I take the coaching and listen to the advice, they no longer irritate me. Like, I have to change who irritates me. I have to find someone new. So what general advice do you have for Jessica?
The general advice I have for Jessica is to stop focusing on the stuff that's bugging you and just figure out what that causes you to know that you're meant to like give to the world in a positive sense, and just focus completely on that.
Nice. And so are you focusing a little bit on Jessica where you can choose not to focus on that?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's an easy one, right? I mean, it's an easy mirror. Yeah, it's cool stuff. And if you do this in front of a mirror and look at the mirror and say the advice to yourself, much quicker, much more powerful. Do everything in front of a mirror. It's much more powerful in my opinion. But okay, we are going to get to some questions. So this one is from Christina. Teal, can you tell us what's going on when it feels like our shadow work is not working? Meaning that we are doing shadow work, but the same patterns, dynamics, conflicts in our present lives are still happening. And thank you, Daryl, by the way.
All right, it's super important to know whether this person's going back to the exact same memories. Because this is what we find. If you keep being drawn back to the same memory, you might start feeling like shadow work isn't working and stuff like that because you keep going back to the same memory and it's not ever resolved. The reason for that is because the consciousness can actually fracture into multiple aspects in one traumatic experience. So there could be the core you that was injured. There could also be an aspect that escaped into the clouds. There could be an aspect that projected into a fantasy. There could be an aspect that escaped into the carpet fibers. And so that's 4 aspects that are now in that one scene. So if we don't integrate them all at one time, then we are often brought back for each individual aspect. And as long as each individual aspect is still in those memories, we will still line up with those as a point of attraction in our day-to-day life here and now. Right? Another reason why we might not be, like the aspect in real life is not improving is that there's multiple memories which all involve the same exact reflection. This happens quite often if before age 8 we have the same kind of traumas multiple times. So that's another option. The other thing that might be happening is that we might be rushing the process instead of being with the emotion. So a lot of people, they'll progress into shadow work trying to get to a better place when that defies the entire point of being with yourself. We don't need the message that the feeling needs to change. That's just a cherry on top. What we need is the message that we're willing to be with ourselves no matter what. And if your like psyche or your emotional self needs that from you, it's going to drag you back until you're willing to be there.
Got it.
But I mean, this is where it's much easier for me to be on stage with somebody because I can look at them and tell you in 3 seconds why it's not working.
Okay.
Other people might not be able to get into shadow work in the first place, really, because they've got belief systems and which translate to emotional reactions like defeat. Where if I am already going into shadow work thinking it's not going to work, then emotionally I actually am dealing with defeat. And that defeat is just showing up in this scenario right here and now. So defeat is the actual vibration I need to go into right now. That is the shadow work.
So it's in defeat? I'm just teasing. In Cajun, we say defeat. That's my feet. Right there. Okay, got it. And by the way, we haven't mentioned it yet. We mentioned Austin once, but below this video, here I can, below this video, you can click and find Austin event. You can find other Teal events because it's linking to her website, and you can jump on her newsletter and whatnot. And by the way, if you want to get on Anna's Facebook page, it's called Intro to Bliss, the number 2.
Intro to Bliss.
And that's music festivals, community living, and all that. And go in and tell her you want to help.
Healing.
In what way?
And bliss.
And
And
bliss.
I work with Anna now too, so.
Yep, Cajun Rose helping her out as well. Ooh, nice name, Gavanya. Gavanya? Jovic. Can every state of being be translated to a place, space, or time? Place, space, time. You catch that, Teal?
I have never been asked this question before, so I'm like hoping that I understand it. Do you guys understand it?
Can every state of being be translated to a place, space, or time? I think what she's saying is like any, or maybe he, I'm not sure, in other words, is there a timestamp on any given being or state of being that...
No, it depends on which dimension you're in. There are multiple dimensions there are many states of being, which translate to dimensional realities, which do not include time, so no, or space. So no, there's many and even far more states of being that are not limited to space-time. Yeah?
Got it. Yeah. Okay, we have, is it possible for humans to comprehend what is outside of time and space? It's an interesting...
Not with the brain. So our issue is in the translation. I'll explain. I'll say not yet, too, because I'm going to say that nothing's impossible. Let's just start it off, okay? Nothing's impossible. I am never going to say that human beings can't evolve into that space. In our current evolutionary space that we're in right now, our brains do not possess the capability of comprehending things that are beyond this particular dimension. Our brains will most likely evolve to be able to comprehend that. Why not? Or else we'll just cease to be a species. But what we have, the problem that we have is that the soul, or the consciousness, which is not limited to the brain, can experience all these other dimensional realities. But once that consciousness comes back into the human being, it is being translated through the brain. So it's your conceptual brain's understanding of what's going on out there. So here's an example. This is a tangible example. When you go out of body, you're actually not going anywhere. The Akashic record is not a place. So basically, it's thought, thing. It's just like a radio dial, right? So there is no travel. So if you come back to your physical body and you perceive having gone somewhere, that is the indication that your human brain is now translating the experience you had into I went somewhere, because it only understands space and time.
Nice. That's the most succinct explanation that I think I've heard. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Thanks again, Daryl, for doing this. So Margie's a good friend of mine, wanted to know, please ask you to go more into depth on shadow work. She started out with feeling anger and then said for us to withdraw from the event and place our attention on the sensation to purify the negative vibe. Could she expand on that, please?
This is like a huge subject.
Can you sum it up in 60 seconds?
Oh, no.
Wait for the next video.
Okay, so expand on it. I just need to release this damn process as fast as I can. Basically, when we feel a negative emotion, regardless of what that negative emotion is, right, we will usually do whatever we can to feel differently. I want to feel better. So you go drink. This person goes watch TV. This person, I mean, you can see how it is. We're going to try to go do something that makes us feel better. So we want to do the opposite when we're doing shadow work. We want to go in the direction of the thing which is causing us discomfort, right? And to do that with an emotion, you're dropping into it and letting it overtake your body, almost like you would let a drug overtake your body. So if I was to inject you with heroin, what I would watch you do is to lean back like this, and you would just let the sensations take over your body. We do that with the emotion that we're feeling, the negative emotion. So it'll translate into a sensation. So you might feel like there are bugs crawling in your skin. You might feel like a crushing sensation in your chest. And what you do is you just breathe continuously while you are fully present with that feeling, and you're giving it this message, which you can actually do mentally in the form of like an affirmation. I am completely here with this now. I'm here with you no matter what. So instead of approaching our negative emotions like the negative emotions themselves are trying to hurt us, we're approaching the negative emotions as if they're trying to get our help. They're the things that are hurting. So by being unconditionally present with it, what's actually caused what they call integration, like a puzzle piece snapping into place. And that is what we want, because our shadows are aspects of ourselves that are trapped in time, essentially. So we first access them through the emotion. Then we move into the cognitive aspect of this, which is that we start asking that feeling, when was the first time that I felt this? And by asking that question, you are actually giving your being permission to offer up the memory or the causation of that particular feeling. So what we mean by that is that this current experience that I'm experiencing, say I just got left by my boyfriend, is in fact just a reflection of the fact that earlier in my life, potentially, my dad left and I felt that feeling. This is just a reflection. It's a call to heal. So if we see that memory, right, the memory of me with my dad's leaving, the first thing we do is we validate the feeling. The primary reason why we store things in the subconscious mind is because it was unacceptable. Feelings more than anything else, because we're in the emotional dark age. So if it's not okay to feel lost, you just got to get over it, because you got to go to school the next day, then what you do is you suppress the feeling. That's when it becomes a traumatizing wound. You're never allowed to move through it. So by going back into the past, you move through those emotions, you re-experience them, key word, because you actually didn't the first time, even though we think we did. You re-experience it, but this time willingly and consciously. By doing that, you move into a higher vibrational set point. And by doing that, validating the feeling in the child is how that looks. So I would go to my child's self and be like, you're so right to feel this way, that he's leaving, this is so painful, you're right, you know? That causes a release, so we are moving forward vibrationally. Then it just gets really fun, because we then separate from first-person perspective into the perspective of being adult with the child, and we do reparenting. But in a mental construct, you can reparent any way you want to. You don't have to tell that kid, well, you're just going to have to deal with it, your dad is gone. You get to give the dad a talking to, or you get to get the kid a new dad, or you get to send the kid with the dad. I mean, there's like a million different things you could do there, but our whole objective is to improve the quality. Yeah?
Nice.
Now, process I've designed is much more like in-depth than this, but it works, yeah?
I wanted to, I wanted to ask a technical question on what you just said, and it may have been, I just heard you wrong. But you said ask the feeling, when was the first time I felt that way? Did you literally mean, like, because I usually ask myself, but are you asking the feeling, like, are you symbolizing the feeling itself and asking the feeling, like, feeling, where did you come from? Because that's it's a little bit different.
You can do it either way. I mean, some people are super helped by that, other people are not. You know? So you could literally say, when was the first time I felt this? Or you could literally ask the feeling, when was the first time I felt you? And yeah, like for you, I would suggest that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's see what our next question is. Yeah, I know, but we already took a question from that. Do you know anything about soul braiding and how that works? What can be done to help facilitate it? I have a close person that I feel needs help with this. Soul braiding. I don't know what soul braiding is. Do you know what that is?
We just did a...
Yes.
Oh, that's you're talking about. Okay, yeah, Rose and Steve were talking about that, where you merge your souls.
Our auras are braided.
You braid your souls.
We did.
Okay, go ahead, Teal. I'm sorry.
Well, Soul braiding is a little bit of an interesting concept because I have met people who have aspects, different consciousnesses, basically, that where there's a potential for it to braid if it's allowed. So honestly, the very best way to do it is to invite it the same way that you would invite a lover to have sex with you. That sounds very vulgar, but it's basically the same thing. You're merging consciousness. So you could do that, and the best way to do that is in meditation, but you have to be really super clear about why you would want to do that. And you have to be willing to be totally vulnerable because you're inviting another aspect into yourself. This is not like, this is literally becoming one. When a soul braid, when another consciousness being basically braids with your consciousness, then now there's no differentiating between the two of you. Your perspective is literally a composite of the two backgrounds of the two consciousness streams. So it can get quite complicated as well. If you want a real simple life, it's probably the worst thing you could choose to do. But you also need to, if you're going to do that type of a process, ask yourself why you want it. Because what you find with the majority of people, and no soul stream is ever going to braid with you if you still feel this way, which is mostly why they're waiting. If you feel like you're not good enough or not smart enough or not something enough without this secondary consciousness, then there's no way it's going to do that because it doesn't benefit you. A soul braid always benefits you no matter what, and most often it will step forward if there's teaching to be done within the world.
Awesome.
Nice.
You say composite very cool too, by the way. Just want to let you know.
Can you say it again?
Composite?
Aww.
You said it differently a second ago. It's all right. Okay. Yeah, why not? This is another one from Jivanya. I think Daryl might have a crush on her. I'm really interested to know the significance of piercing and tattoos on the energetic, more subtle aspects of the body. Are there certain sites of the body which interact with meridians, energy centers, nadis, etc.? Could you give some examples?
Yeah, I mean, every piercing that you could get is going to affect one of your meridians. You can do that positively, but you can also do that negatively, and that's also why it's super important to decide what kind of jewelry you have in. But I mean, this is where I like to get kind of funny with this. Even though it will, anything you do is going to have an effect to your body. Period, the end, right? So like getting piercings here actually affects the mind. If you look at the damage of even one negative thought compared to a piercing anywhere on your body, it's not even comparable. It's like the difference between a tic tac and an ocean.
Damn.
So that's why it's like most of us just think it's stupid to even have the question. You know, it's really not a dumb question for whoever asked that. I'm just saying, like, for most of us that understand the way that the universe works, it's not even a question we should be thinking about. Because, I mean, chances are, if you're like worried about affecting a meridian in your body, but how many thoughts have you honestly thought that are not super good feeling thoughts today? It's a moot point.
Got it. Yeah, for those that are young people, I highly recommend use my rule. I had a rule that I started when I was like 18. If I have the same idea for a tattoo for 2 years, I'll get it. I have no tattoos. And I've had a lot of ideas, but I never had the same idea for 2 years. So I figure it's not my time. Now, about almost 2 years, I've been wanting crop circles on each shoulder, so I may do it. But I'm glad I didn't. Like at 19, I wanted a tattoo of Pinky from Pinky and the Brain saying North. Like that's what I wanted. I wouldn't want that right now, so I'm glad I didn't get it.
Okay, we're going to be aggressive. I love it. Now we're in a debate. Okay, so let's say that you had an issue with like self-confidence, right? And self-confidence is associated with your solar plexus. If you were to get a symbolic representation of something which embodied self-confidence, and you put that tattoo on your solar plexus, it would actually add beneficially to your experience. Now, we can get in a conversation about ink or whatever we want to, and that's a whole other question entirely, but that kind of a thing would be a beneficial reason, which is, in fact, why they started doing that in tribal cultures to begin with. Now, your rule is a super good rule for a lot of people, but it depends on what you want your tattoos to mean. Sometimes the most in alignment tattoos are impulsive tattoos to end the period of your life, right? So based on a person, their meaning for tattoos is going to be different. One person might say, I want this on my body because I want to remember it for the rest of my life. One person might say, I'm going to get this sort of like a stamped and sealed, this is a closure so that I'm moving forward. I'm actually that kind of a person with my tattoos. Every one of my tattoos is covering a scar of mine. Every one of my tattoos I specifically got done when I felt like I was ready to move forward to a totally different phase in my life. So these are like roadmaps of where I've been. And so you can't regret stuff like that.
Right.
Gotcha.
I have a question. Does the fact that it's ink going into you as opposed to like a temporary tattoo, does that make it more of an effect on you?
No, but consciously, not physically.
Okay.
But mentally, when you go in knowing this is permanent, it creates a mental state where it becomes more permanent.
Right. Okay.
But no, I mean, it doesn't do on a physical level, no. And ink is not good for you. I mean, let's not dance around it, okay? It's like I got millions of tattoos. No, ink is not good for you.
Yeah.
Tattoos are bad, okay?
I don't know. Is there healthy tattoo ink yet? It seems like I've heard. I think there's healthier. I don't know. It's probably healthy. I'm gonna make y'all some ink with some blackberries and some apricots.
I'll try it out.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Kind of on topic. Anna Freeman asks. By the way, that last question was by Kim Glister. Please, can you ask Teal about being vegan, vegetarian, and feeling deeply and coping with the meat industry and the slaughter of animals? How do we deal with that or cope with the resistance to it, in her opinion? Ooh, I have an opinion on that. Go ahead, Teal.
Nobody.
Nobody cares about it. I need to guess.
I have a very hard time actually personally coping with this particular one. This is like one of my major issues. I really cannot stand it. But honestly, the thing that I do is to just like try to let people be where they are and think about it this way. If I am put in a position in my life, if I line up with a position where I can do something to positively affect something, I take that step. So if I'm in a grocery store and I am in the position where I get to choose to buy meat or not, I don't buy meat. But what makes us really the craziest is feeling powerless about it. So unless you feel inspired or called towards some action, then you're just focusing on powerlessness and then adding to the suffering on the planet. That was the major game changer for myself, basically. If you're worried about suffering, but you're suffering about the suffering happening on the planet, you've just added a tablespoonful to the suffering on the planet. So if you prioritize your own joy, then obviously that actually removes a tablespoon from the suffering of the planet. So you are impacting this planet just based on your own happiness.
I feel that, I'm not claiming to be right here, but I feel that there's a lot of people talking about Mother Earth is suffering and Mother Earth is suffering. I think the consciousness that is Mother Earth is too evolved to suffer. Like the suffering is from the humans projecting and saying, oh, I can't believe we're doing this to our Earth. I personally don't get that Mother Earth is sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe y'all are fracking. Mother Earth is like observing her little humans going, look at how cute these little fuckers are.
That's what.
No, the truth is like it's more towards your side, but it's more close to the middle. So what's happening right now is that the Earth is not in a state of suffering. It's not. You're right. When you go observe the consciousness of Earth, it's not like, oh my God, I'm getting killed. It's not.
Exactly.
But it is. But there are some things which human beings are doing which kind of makes it like a dog that has an itch. And the problem with that, the problem for us with that is that if you look at the planet Earth, human beings are like a bacterial strain on the Earth, really. And we know there are beneficial bacteria and also detrimental bacteria. So the body, which is Earth, is going to treat the people who are in that particular position like a detrimental bacteria, and there will be a lot of people that are caught in the wake of that. Yeah. And when the Earth treats people like a detrimental bacteria, what you watch is huge like climate shifts, which we can't survive in our fragile human bodies.
Gotcha. Yeah, when Gaia scratches that itch, we get a hurricane.
Yep.
But she ain't mad. She ain't mad, you know? She's just like, here's a hurricane.
No, she's just itching. She's scratching.
I don't believe that she's hurt. I mean, I'm not saying she's not. I'm not saying your belief is wrong. I don't personally believe it.
Places, when you go to places and you feel the energy of the place, there's stuff that's stuck in her body just like it's stuck in ours.
Yes.
She's a representation of us, and it hurts her. I mean, I go to the beach, and the beach is sad because nobody's really loving her.
See, I don't buy into that. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying for me, I don't feel that. That doesn't seem right.
I feel it, and it's the same. It's kind of the same emotional and cleansing that we're going through also.
But it's your feeling, it's your stuff. Like you're projecting that onto the earth. Go ahead, Teal, I'm sorry.
You're both right. That's the funny part. Like, there's a huge amount of projection that's happening, because if you look at the earth in its totality, you don't see that aspect of, like, pain. But if you go, like, let's say that you go to a mine, somewhere where they've literally, like, ripped up the earth in a huge way, the vibration of that has the same vibration as a sore does on a human body. And you can definitely feel that. If I took you there, even you would feel that. But I mean, like, how much? If you have a cut on your hand, right? This is the best way to put it to you. If I cut your arm right now, and that you didn't go to victimization, it just was a cut. Now, you would probably be focusing on a lot of other things during the day, and only occasionally think about it. But if I was like a tiny bug and I went into that wound, it would have a whole different vibration in that wound than the totality of you. So you're both right.
This is where the perspective is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And oftentimes, I got to tell you, oftentimes if we're a match to ending up in those places that feel really sad, it's because it's mirroring an aspect of ourselves. It's why we're a damn match to it. I mean, nobody wants to hear this, but the main reason why people in Japan keep going through all the crap they're going through with the Earth itself is because they are a perfect match to it. Nowhere on this Earth do you find more emotional suppression, and I mean nowhere. So what happens if you suppress? If a human suppresses too much, you get seizures. So if the whole culture suppresses too much, they become a match to earthquakes.
Wow. So what advice do you have? I have multiple friends that you know, have to deal with seizures, and we found frankincense works a lot, but there's, you know, that doesn't work every time. So what do you have a process for people that are having seizures?
Yeah, the one that I created. I actually pulled myself out of 3 of them this year by doing that.
Wow. So the same thing you were talking about earlier?
Yes.
Is coming? And that's going to be like an ebook or something?
No, it's going to be a tangible book.
Okay, a real book.
And I'm training facilitators, just so you know. So this is where it gets really exciting.
Uh-oh.
Awesome.
Can I name the people that become facilitators?
What?
You gotta come up with a fun name. Well, I mean, you know, like you have data healers, you got Reiki practitioners, you know, I don't know. I haven't thought of it yet, but, you know, I'll kick you some ideas. You don't have to take mine, but
Okay.
I think we should have a fun name, you know, like if you're going to be a facilitator, you could be like, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe like God, or goddess, yeah, like God. Oh, did you hear I got certified as God? Yeah, it's this new book that Teal wrote. You can read it, you'll be certified as God, too. You can be a practitioner of God. All right, here we go. Juan Gonzalez. Is some force imagining God, or is source the root of all that is?
Source is the root that basically of all. But the issue is that our human mind cannot conceptualize of something, an effect that has no cause. Does that make sense? That's even an effect that is the result of a cause is just an illusion. But it is possible in this universe for there to be an effect that has no cause. And that is what God is, essentially.
Can you say that one more time because the video hiccuped? I think I got you, but the video hiccuped. Can you just say that last sentence again?
At which point? Okay, well... All right, we'll go here. Even though you are not going to be able to conceptualize of this, because there always has to be a start and an end to this particular dimension, and that's what your brain is participating in, it is possible in this universe to have an effect without a cause. Now, what we're calling God is essentially an effect without a cause.
Got it. Okay, I get that. Quick question for me. I don't know if you have to read that or not. Oh, I'm not even on video. Here's a question.
That's backwards.
I know they can't read it. Is the hokey pokey really all it's about?
Yeah.
Because, you know, you put your whole self in, you put your whole self out. Like it's very metaphysical song, right?
The hokey pokey is all it's about until you realize there is no in and out, and then the hokey pokey is nothing again.
Oh.
Dang it. Oh, Daryl. I knew Daryl would have a good one. Daryl says that your practitioners could be called tealicians. That sounds
Well,
kind of.
I'm sure that would be received well. Some people love Teal Tribe so much. Everyone's like, why does it have to be named after her? We're being controlled. This is an authority issue. So I'm sure that would be well.
And by the way, I'm the one who came up with the word tealers. It had nothing to do with teal. It wasn't your ego. I was just goofing around one day, and we came up with that word tealers. And love of teal was me too. It wasn't her ego, y'all. It was me. Blame me. I wanted to worship her because it was fun. And if you don't like it, don't do it. Yeah, tealitions. That sounds good. Okay. This might be the last question from Pam Swisher. Tealy, what's a good way to deal with the ever-presence of the opposite of what you teach? Go into it.
Thank you, Pam.
What's a good way to deal with the ever-presence of the opposite of what you teach?
I think the way to rephrase that might be how you feel about intervention.
Okay, Steve said, how do you feel about intervention might be another way to word that.
Say hello. She doesn't even know who you are.
Yeah, you want to come say it? Did you get the question, Teal? Okay.
What is the opposite of what I teach? That's what I gotta know.
Right. What's a good? Let me go to the chat and
Maybe.
see. Pam, if you could answer, what you clarify that? I'll go to the chat itself right now and let you chime in on that, if possible. Ooh, I liked Tina's question. Yeah, let's talk about that because that's another one. I'm not buying it.
Yep.
Okay, she's not clarifying, so I'm not sure. The ever-presence of the opposite of what you teach. I know a lot of people get on you, Teal, about like having one thing. You say one thing to one person, another thing to another person, and it seems like they have the same issue, but it's because their vibration is different. And like you teach, oftentimes it's best to go to anger first before you get to forgiveness, blah blah blah. So that could be what she means, but I'm not sure.
Well, I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Okay. I don't know. Well, we'll go to the next question. So the next question was about chemtrails.
Can I read this one?
What's that?
WTF are chemtrails? Where are they? Where is it?
Yeah, that's all it said.
Oh.
WTF
No,
chemtrails. What, who, and why?
What, who, and why?
Sorry.
Okay.
It's cool.
Chemtrails. Sometimes a hell of a lot of conspiracy freakism, which really is not founded. Sometimes actual genuine stuff that is dropped from U.S. government and other world governments.
Why would a government, like, let's say I'm in the Illuminati, because I am, what would the Illuminati be thinking when they're spraying it where they can't protect their own kids, they can't protect their grandkids? Like, it doesn't make sense to me because of that. Like, why would they do that to their own families? It's not logical.
I've never thought of it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I always, when there's conspiracy theories, I always ask the question, like, why would I do that to myself? Why am I doing that to myself? And to be honest, I don't believe it's happening. I don't. Sorry. I mean, I believe, yeah, you can find stuff in the air, but I haven't seen one study of them going into a chemtrail, grabbing a sample, and testing it and finding stuff in it. That may have happened. I haven't seen it. So it's the things that are in the air, like, that's what's left behind when a plane goes by. I know a lot of people are going to get frustrated with me, but...
Yes, and you're accurate to some degree, but there has been a lot of government experimenting. Tons of it.
I get that they experiment. I mean, they definitely are jacking with the weather and HAARP. I mean, I'm a big conspiracy theorist. Chemtrails just not... I don't believe every one of those things you see in the sky is a toxic chemtrail. I don't.
That's because you're addressing chemtrails as separate from the other stuff that you're talking about. And what a lot of people are calling chemtrails is actually the very same thing. It's them messing with weather. They can use commercial airplanes to do that. And when the commercial airplanes, they start failing because finances are failing, they have one option, and that's to take funding from someone that would benefit.
So my buddy Daryl...
Wait, I have one more question for that.
Okay, go ahead.
What can you see a difference in like when a plane passes by? Can you see the chemtrail through your eyes? Okay.
Yes, that's why I'm saying that there's something to it. Like, and you could literally say that all of the stuff that they're putting in the chemtrails is like a complete government cover up to try to sedate everybody, which I don't completely buy into that all the time. even though the government does a hell of a lot of experimentation about mind control and about how to control masses, because it makes sense if you want a power, you know, to exist in a society that isn't ever overthrown, then you have to do those kinds of experiments, right? Whether it's like happening on a mass scale where it's just like, I mean, it's not full blown to the degree that people think it is. It's still in the experimentation phase. But my ability, you know, to see things like chemicals and see things like radiation makes it quite interesting, because you will see one plane go overhead, and now this is, of course, we'd have to address whether what was in that plane was just a difference in fuel types or what they put in that particular fuel. But one plane will go by and it will look like nothing, like clouds basically, sometimes with like exhaust fumes. Other planes will go by and it's like there's red and orange and yellow particles that look like, you know, pure chemicals that are falling.
Yeah.
So I'm like one of those people where, because I have all these other priorities, I haven't like delved into this the you know, subconscious mind of the government deep enough to like see how far it goes and where it goes and what the motivation is yet. But it's an accuracy that there is these kinds of chemicals that are being put into the air, because I can actually physically see them.
Got it.
So I think there are people that are probably more qualified to talk on it than myself.
I mean, I'll give you my take on chemtrails, and I want to know if you think it's detrimental, like a way to think of things. It's not just chemtrails. I do this with a lot of things, and we are wrapping it up. I know, I see it's 2 o'clock, so we're going to wrap it up soon. But I believe that, yes, chemtrails may be bad and they may be awful, but if I buy into it and I buy into its poison, then every time I walk outside and I see it and I think I'm being poisoned, that's really, really bad for me. So I choose to believe that, I choose to not know. Like, I choose to not research it. I don't want to know if it's bad for me. And so I just write it off as like, well, I'm going to keep it out of my beliefs that it's bad, and that way it won't be bad. And even if it is bad, it was going to be that bad for me anyway. I'm not making it any better for myself by believing I'm being poisoned constantly.
I think it depends on where you are vibrationally. So someone like yourself who is not capable of looking at those kinds of things and looking into those kinds of things and not going into a place of panic about it would do well to not focus on it.
I don't know that I would get into panic about it. It takes a lot to make me panic. I mean, they're doing a lot.
Not look.
What's that?
Then why would you not look?
I believe that if, like, let's say I'm addicted to aspartame or addicted to Diet Coke, and you tell me, oh, aspartame is poison. Didn't you know it gives people brain cancer? Watch this documentary. It gives people brain cancer. But I'm still drinking my Diet Coke. You just made that Diet Coke a whole lot worse for me.
If you even lined up with me being able to say that, that means that there was a mirror you needed to see.
True that, and that probably it's time to get off Diet Coke because my belief just changed and now it's poison to me.
Yes, and so here's this problem. This is where we get to get. This is a huge fight within the you know, law of attraction community, and it's the one that I hate having the most, because you are accurate. Like, you are accurate. That if you are worried about something, if you're focused on something, then it's better to just withdraw your attention, because you're going to be adding to it 100%. Like, nobody can argue with that perspective. On the other hand, we are co-creating in this reality. So if you approach things that way, and if everyone starts to approach things that way, then things will quite literally never change. What we find is that often information is placed in front of our face so we can actually work that vibration into a higher state. So if I find out about chemtrails, I figure out ways to, like, you know, what could I do to the positive end? That's the expansion. What can I do to the positive end about this? You might get inspired. We might be inspired enough to find a way to purify our air or something like that. Same goes for something like sexual abuse, because you could use the same sort of argument. I don't want to know that there are girls that are getting put into prostitution. I don't fucking care. I can't look at that without getting upset, so I'm just going to ignore it. Well, good then. More girls are going to get taken. So where's the person who says, you know what? I'm going to use this as an excuse to focus positively to what the expansion is in this particular situation. Maybe that's me finding a way to rehabilitate them. Maybe that's me finding a way to stop them. I mean, I can do that. I can go towards the positive without resisting the negative. I can. It's just that we're not very good at doing that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a good example of where there's a huge, huge difference between a pro-peace rally and an anti-war rally.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's a good example of that.
Yeah, so my question to the person who asked the chemtrails question is, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's in this, a lot of stuff that's out there that's really created for malevolent, what we would consider a malevolent intention. Really, there's a beneficial intention behind it, but you don't know that. But if there are these things in the universe, what are we going to do about it? Now that's the birthplace of really great inventions.
Yeah.
I can tell you if there's a problem can't be birthed without the solution. Like you can't have white without black. It's impossible. So you can't have a problem without there also being a solution. So let's just figure it out and line up with it.
So, yeah. So have you heard of sylphs? I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's a being that looks like a cloud, but it like cleans up the air and it like So you've heard of them?
Yes.
And have you seen them? Like, can you communicate with them?
Yes, they're like awesome. They're super awesome, but their vibration is so similar to water that it's like a little different trying to talk to them. It's definitely a different language.
So what are they like? Are they cute? Like, they seem like they'd be so cute. Yeah.
They're actually quite intimidating.
They're actually what?
Intimidating.
And you said they're intimidating?
No, I'm sure that some people probably wouldn't be intimidated by them, but I'm quite intimidated by them because, I mean, when I'm communicating with them, I'm still in a physical body that still has fight or flight response mechanisms. And so when you're being approached by all this water energy, it feels very similar to talk with one of them that it does to be sitting in the ocean and have one of those waves coming at you that's like, am I going to die type of a feeling?
And so is it true that these things are filtering the air for us?
Yes.
And what percentage, I need an exact figure as always, what percentage of the clouds that we see in the sky are these sylphs?
A very small percentage. Like, it wouldn't even factor into the 1%.
Oh, okay. And for those that want to research it, by the way, for one, you can reach out to Daryl Sprout. He knows a lot about them, but it's Sylphs. It's the way he spelled it. And Daryl doesn't spell things wrong, so that is how it's spelled. Okay, we're going to wrap it up because we have used up our time. Teal, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that I know you, and I'm grateful that you're doing what you're doing. I think it's just, you're incredible. And I don't know if you saw it, but I put on my Facebook page, interviewing you is literally like talking to an angel. And I know what literally means. It's really cool. And I think the beautiful thing about you, the most beautiful thing about you is that you don't approach it like, hey, I'm up here and, learn from me. It's like, I'm up here, come up here with me. Here's how, here's how. Oh, you haven't gotten that yet? Well, here, I did a video on it. So, like, you want to take us with you to the promised land, and it's going to be fun to go there together. And closing words?
That was awesome. I would like to interview you on my show. Is that possible?
And that's a music show.
A music show?
Yeah. Can we have you and Blake? That would be so cool.
Yeah, of course, because you can get us arguing about music. That'll be fun.
Cool. I love it.
What's your favorite song right now, Teal?
Okay, my favorite song, I can actually find it for you right now. My favorite song is a song that is called Horizons Variation. And it is from Max Richter.
Nice.
What genre, or what does it sound like?
It sounds like symphony, kind of, but it's like it would be the kind of music that's done in a movie soundtrack, I guess, because it's like very poignant, but it's also symphonic.
Cool.
I got a great song. If you like symphony, there's a song by Ennio Morricone, The Mission soundtrack from an old De Niro movie. It is amazing. It's like 300 musicians, 200 singers. Like, the song is whoa.
Can you send it to me?
Yes, ma'am. I'll send it to you on Facebook message.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank everyone. If you could, I'm going to announce this. We are having a contest for whoever shares this video or this link. It's just the teal.josephzenner.website. I'm going to post it on my Facebook page. If you share from there, that way I'll be able to track it. And we're going to give away some 3 wise men, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. We've been having a lot of fun with that. I'm going to get you some when you come to Austin, too, Teal. It's really fun.
Nice.
The gold is helping people remember their dreams, it seems.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Super cool.
We're gonna escape through that.
Volunteers for Austin. Any more
I
volunteers?
think volunteer for Austin is closed, but I'm not sure. You could contact Zach Moyer with that question. Okay, so thanks, Teal. We love you, and we'll see you very soon in Austin. It's February 14th for those that don't know. February 14th in Austin, and come the night before February 13th, and come to our Emotional Healing with Oils class. And if you can't make it to Austin, we're online, baby. We do everything online now. All right. Peace, y'all. Thanks for joining us. Much love. We're out.
I love you guys.
We're gonna escape through there.
Okay.